went to church at a place called LaGrone's Chapel. It was a Methodist church. And, picture book story life. For the longest time, things were great. I was a kid, I was involved in church, I went to Sunday school. This entire time, I never accepted Christ. I never knew exactly who God was. I was a child, and I really couldn't understand it at all. Fast forward to when I was 10 years old. I remember my mom would always come and get me out of bed at 6 in the morning. She'd cook breakfast. But this day, she woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I knew something was different. She was dressed up. She had like a sweater on, nice clothes and stuff, and her eyes were all red, and she looked like she'd been crying. I was really confused, to say the least. I was like, Mom, what's going on? She goes, I need to tell you something. Your father was in a wreck on the way to work this morning. And to be honest, when she said that, it didn't quite hit me. I grew up, my dad was invincible to me. He was a superhero. And so I got in the car with her, and we drove up to the hospital, and I still had no idea exactly what had happened. My father was in intensive care. He was barely recognizable when I saw him. They had shaved his head. He had a bandana on. Actually, it's a Harley Davidson bandana that I still have with me in my car. And I found out later from my mom that he was driving to work early. He was a manager at a place called Trinity Industries. And he was going to work early on a Friday morning. And some people were driving back, were actually leaving their work. And actually, I'm going to draw a picture so you'll understand this. Say, here's a highway, here's where their business is, and there's like lanes going this way, lanes going this way, and then you have a median right here. And sometimes you're really tempted to just kind of go like that, to that median, to go over here, because you don't want to drive all the way down here and then come back up. And whether or not this was a factor that played into that or not, these people were drunk. They had stayed out all Thursday night drinking until the bars closed in the morning, and then they went home and they continued drinking and didn't go to sleep. They got up and they went to work, and they were leaving. So they thought that they would go backwards down the highway and then go through the median and come back up. When they did that, they hit my dad on his motorcycle. And ever since that moment, that was really where my life went downhill. My dad actually was alive for a while after that, but he couldn't move. And he ended up dying a week later. There goes that picture book story life. Everything was perfect, and then in an instant, everything changed. I had no warning. I had no idea what was going to happen to us. My mom wasn't working at that time. And so back to my life with God. The church that we were at ended up failing. Everybody left the church. And so we had to find a new place. So we went to a church called First Methodist for about a year. And it just didn't work. My mom tried to hold our family together, keep us going to church, and everything just fell through. And from that point on, God was, from my perspective, largely not in my life at all. I'd never really learned anything of great importance about God. I didn't really know who Christ was. I didn't understand the real message of the gospel. And from the moment I was 10 years old until late into high school, I was an atheist, basically. I knew about God, and I didn't care. And I didn't think that he cared about me. Partly because I don't know how he could have let something like that happen to our family. But something interesting happened when I was 17. I had some friends, and they like to walk to church on Wednesdays. And so I was like, yeah. They invited me to go with them. I went with them to church, and to be honest, I don't remember much of what they taught there. And I sat up in the light booth and the sound booth, and I really didn't pay attention, and I still didn't care. And all of my friends would tell me they believed in God, but they would go and they would do things that were completely contrary to what I knew the Bible said. They would go and they would drink and party and have sex and all kinds of stuff like that. That was the crowd I hung out with at the time. And I was involved in all the stuff that they did too. But that was probably the closest I come to God while I was in high school. Move forward another 2 years, and I don't know how I ended up here. I randomly picked a college, and I still don't care about God. I know all the stuff that's going on, and yet it still didn't make a difference. But there was this one guy, actually, that just drove me insane. I lived in Sneed Hall, if you've been here, you know where Sneed is. A bunch of nerdy guys live there. Every single Tuesday at 7 p.m., this guy would walk around and he would knock on everyone's doors. And this guy was pushy. He's a lot more pushy than I am, actually. He would come to my door and he'd be like, "How's it going, man?" I'm like, "Fine." It's like, and he would really talk to me. He would, even if I gave him short answers, even if I told him I wanted him to leave, he was always there, and he would always genuinely be interested in who I was. And it just annoyed me. I could not believe that I could be so mean to this guy, and he would still come back every Tuesday. And to be honest, I would just mess with him on purpose. I remember one day I heard him knock at the door, and I knew it was him. So I was like, pull my pants down. And I opened the door, and I was like, "Hey." And he just ignored me. He just ignored me and went on with this whole thing. And still, like, everything like that persisted, and he was like, "Can I pray for him?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, we're going to be having a Bible study later. You can come." And I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "Well, just come afterwards, and we'll go eat or something. I'll buy you dinner." I'm like, "Nope." So, I'm in computer science class, programming 1, and there's a guy there named Josh Busey. And he was working with me, and me and him got along really well. And we're walking back to Sneed from class, and he just goes, "So you believe in God?" And in my head, I was like, "No, I don't." But at the same time, I was like, I really don't want to make him feel awkward, so I said yes. I told him I believe in God, even though I really didn't. He's like, "Awesome, you should come with me to this Bible study that I go to on Tuesdays." Me not even realizing that there was a connection with this guy and the other guy. And I said, "Sure." And Tuesday rolls around, and I know he's going to call me, and I'm like, "Please don't call me. Please don't call me." He knocks on my door. "Hey, let's go." So I go down to this Bible study, and lo and behold, that same guy, Daniel Roach, is down there. The annoying guy that comes every single Tuesday, no matter what, even if my pants are down. And so I just kind of sit there, and I listen, and I listen. And weeks go by, and I realize that there's something different about these people. One of the things that kept me atheist the majority of my life, sitting next to them in class all day, and they'll never say a word to me about who Christ is. But these people that I met at this Bible study in Sneed were completely different. They, just by watching them, I could tell that they reflected Christ. And I could see this level in Daniel Rocha, the guy that originally was knocking around the doors. I could see this level that he was somewhere else, that he was not a normal person like me. He wasn't just this guy that says, "Yeah, I'm Christian because I grew up in America." No, he was real and he was genuine. He cared about everyone else above himself, even to the point where he would even hurt himself to help others. And it just, for a long time, it ate away at me. Ate away, and I started listening to what he was talking about, and I started seeing things in a new light. Before, when I would read the Bible, I didn't believe it. And it was like, why should I even care about these things? You can't prove to me that God is real, so you're trying to sell me something that you've experienced, that you can't prove exists, that has a reward that you can't prove exists. It just didn't make sense. But when I saw Christ through these people, through Daniel, through Josh, that's what genuinely got me interested in Christ. And it was at that point that we were in a Bible study one day, and Daniel would always do the prayer. He was like, "If you don't know Christ, just pray with me and come talk to me afterwards." And I'll be honest, I was scared and I was shy. And I didn't tell anybody else in the group that I did, but I prayed with him and I accepted Christ. And he stuck around afterwards, and I talked to him, and I was just crying. And And it was from that moment on that I knew that I wanted to follow Christ, that I wanted the real thing. I didn't want this American Jesus that people have come up with.
That's good.
And so here I am. I still do the same thing every Tuesday. I helped them out until Daniel graduated. Now he's about to be a pastor in Fort Worth. And I still knock on people's doors every Tuesday. People yell at us sometimes. They slam the doors in our face. But I don't care. And Katie's with me every step of the way. She knows how hard it is. And there's not many people that do this. And I really am just happy just to see people that come one person all semester. And that just solidifies the fact that I've made a difference. And the fact is, it really wasn't me the whole time. It was Christ. So, here I am at Chi Alpha, and I see you guys every day. And I just really rejoice for y'all, because y'all are exactly the example that Daniel was and Joshua was in Christ. So, thank you guys for the testimony. And if y'all want to hear about why I had him draw an elephant, it's because before I believed in Christ, I never really got the whole picture. So you look at this, and he was drawing this, and he just starts going like this, and you see just this white blob, and somebody goes, yellow. Well, I think someone kind of missed the point right there.
And Lindsay
That's kinda
said,
white, but
Lindsay
that's just the way I
said
see it, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes over here, and he adds a tail, and he adds the legs, and you're like, it's a sheep. So now you're kind of seeing the bigger picture. Maybe it's an animal. And then he draws the trunk, and finally you understand exactly what it is. So, what we're going to be looking at today is Ephesians. And I picked Ephesians for a couple of reasons. One being because Ephesians was the first book that I read in the Bible as a believer. It was what they were teaching in the campus group whenever I accepted Christ. Ephesians contains a lot of what it means to live in Christ and what that looks like. It gives you an accurate depiction of who a follower of Christ is and who a son of Adam is. Son of Adam being people that are born to this world but don't have Christ in them. You're born a son of Adam initially, and when you accept Christ, you're then adopted into sonship through God as a son of Jesus. So, who's in leadership in here? Raise your hand. 2, 3, 4.
Right behind
5. Okay. What I want y'all to do, there's 5 of us, get in pairs, and preferably with people that you aren't around very often. So, like Kevin, you can't be in there with Sarah. Okay? So just come over here and just like stand around over here, and then I'll assign y'all groups. There's going to be one person that's by themselves, but that's okay.
Are you going to preach anymore?
I will at the end.
Okay, because I'm